Okay, let's talk about doing decorative stitches with your Babylock Destiny or the Brother Dream Machine. And actually, almost all of the high-end Babylock and Brother embroidery or sewing machines will do decorative stitches in the same or similar manner. So what you want to do is go to your home page, and I want to select Sewing. And notice you've got a lot of information on this screen. You have two tabs at the top that say Utility Stitch or Character and Decorative Stitch. So for this, we're going to want to talk about the Character and Decorative Stitches. So I've selected that. Now on this menu, you have got several categories of stitches. They're numbered 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 6 is going to be your regular embroidery stitches, and you've got several pages of these. You've probably got more decorative stitches than you'll ever use in a lifetime. And crazy quilting is actually a perfect way to use these stitches. So I'm going to page up and down using the up and down arrow keys. Sometimes they may be plus and minus or arrow keys that are on the bottom depending on the model. And when you select a pattern, it's going to show you what the pattern looks like on the left hand side. It tells you what foot to use. 99.999% of these decorative stitches, they're going to tell you to use the end foot. And the end foot is a very helpful foot. It's different than the general purpose foot in the fact that the bottom of it has a channel. That way the threads can ride underneath in the channel there and not have thread build up and jam up your machine. The J foot is flat on the bottom, and when you've got a stitch that has a lot of thread build up, it's going to end up jamming. So you want to use the end foot or the open toe foot. The open toe foot also has a channel underneath. Okay, so when you have, it's now showing you that what the stitch looks like, and on the Destiny and the Dream Machine it's pretty accurate as to it's accurate to the size. You have other buttons that show up. You also have the ability to change the color of the stitch. Okay, we'll come back over here. This is going to show you what it looks like, and I can again change the color, and you can actually look at it up close and personal using the magnifying key. Okay, so you can scroll whichever one you like. Now I'll talk about some of these. This key up here is showing you that your feed dogs are up, so that's where I want them. You're not doing free motion. This one I'll come back to. It's called the beginning of the pattern key, so that if say your thread breaks in the middle of a stitch. In the old days, you'd change your thread, you'd go to a scrap piece of fabric and you'd stitch along on the scrap until you got to the spot where the thread broke, and then you'd switch machines and hope that it matched up. Well, now what this key does is it takes you back to the beginning of the stitch, the very beginning of it. So if you have a thread break, you may have to remove the stitch to the beginning of the pattern, and then you insert your needle at the beginning, and you will never know where your thread broke. This right here with the stars, it's showing multiple stars, so it's on a repeat pattern, or you can set it to a single pattern. And I want to go around a curve. I'm going to put this on a single pattern piece. Right now it's repeating. I want it to do a single pattern, and what I want it to do is I want it to also pivot. I'm engaging the pivoting function. That's kind of a big pattern. Let me pick another one. That one. That looks better. I like that one. Okay. So I have picked a decorative pattern. This time I'm picking this little switch. I'm selecting the small. It could be large or small. I want to go small. I'm going to select a single pattern then, which is the single star, because I want it to not repeat. I want it to stop, because what I want it to do is I want it to go around the edge of this curve. There's a curve right there. I say I want it to go around that curve, and if I were to stitch and pivot as I am stitching, what will happen is it's going to distort that pattern. So I want it to be nice and crisp and a nice clean pattern at each point in it. So I'm going to engage the pivot function right here. So I'm going to do a lot of pivoting. And my God, that can get annoying if you're having to raise and lower that presser foot constantly. So since we've had the Elegante, we have had this ability to pivot. So I'm going to, okay, let's see, let me turn, all right. I'm using the left edge of the foot as my guide, and I'm just going to have it do one pattern. And I'm going to keep it straight. Okay, and now I'm going to curve it. See, I'm going to put that line back directly facing me and let it go straight. See, it looks like it's going off of the curve. Make that line come straight at me. I'll do 1/2 going with it with the pivot and 1/2 without. And let's see if there's a difference. Okay, I'm going to put all 3 stars on so that it's continuously doing the pattern, and I am going to just stitch, and let's just see what the difference is. And I'm going to be keeping this line so that it is, the edge of the line is coming straight at me, which means I'm going to continually be turning this just a little bit as it stitches, so it follows the curve. Okay, let's take a look at it. Actually, it's not too bad, but you'll notice each pattern is alike. And here I've got some distortion right there. It's not quite right there. These are, see, it goes a little bit wonky from this side. It's not, and does it look bad? No, it doesn't look bad, but is it as perfect as that? No, it isn't. So therefore, it really does help to use that pivoting feature. Makes it a little faster, and using that straight, using a single pattern as versus a repeating pattern can really make a difference in the perfection I have in here as versus right there. I love it. Okay, let's just say I have picked this pattern, which has a direction to it. So if I select this one here, it's going to reverse image it. This one will reverse image it in the other direction, horizontally as well as vertically. Okay, this allows me to pick either the large or the small stitch. Some stitches may not, that may be grayed out because there's only one selection. So this one allows me to do a large one or a small one. This button down here is not going to show up on every pattern. This allows you to select a stitch and use either a single needle or a double needle. This deletes the last pattern. This one's for future use. And this one sets your laser working. We're going to come back to that later on. Okay, so anyway, as you pick here, if you pick one design, it automatically goes to the triple star. But if I select a different pattern, I can also build up my own menu of patterns. Let me just pick 2. Oh, there's 3 there. So it is set on a single star. So when I go to multiple star, you notice that it's going to repeat that pattern over and over and over again. And here you can save this pattern into memory. You can save it either into the internal memory of your machine, to one of the 2 jump sticks or USB sticks, or directly to your computer. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the other menu. Okay, that was menu number 6. Number 7 are more decorative stitches, and you'll see lots and lots of these. So you have a lot of them to choose from. Notice these are numbered 7-075. Notice near the bottom of the pages, near menu number 6, some of these patterns are really, really large. Look how large they are. These are for using the, these are really large decorative stitches, and the feed docks actually go from side to side as well as backward and forward. So we will try in some of those a little bit later. Menu number 8 has got heavy satin stitches, and you have several pages of these. Now when you select some of these, notice you have another button that has shown up that wasn't there before. This one is your density limiter, so you can either pick standard density or heavy density, which gives you a really deep, thick satin stitch. Right. Number 9 are going to be your pattern zigzags. And again, you can select any of these, and I'm just going to select one of them. And now you've got not just a density, you have a pattern limiter. Because on the old days, whenever you had a satin stitch like this, or a heavy pattern satin stitch, then in order to make it thicker, you would have to reduce your stitch length. So you'd make it littler, so you get a nice thick stitch length. Well, you now can maintain the pattern shape by changing the limiter. So you've got a tight pattern, and you can also make it look a little bit longer, a little bit bigger, while maintaining the density that you like. With these, you also have the ability to stitch them offset. So watch, I hit this one. I'm going to hit this again. Notice that it offsets it. It moves it left to right by half a pattern. So that can also give you some very interesting shapes. This one would be perfect for doing like a cut work scalloped edge. Okay. Number 10 are your cross stitches. And also, well, if you notice, almost all of the decorative stitches did have the offset available. That is only available in the Destiny and the Dream Machine. All of the other models that offset patterning is going to be only on your pattern zigzags. Okay, now your cross stitches, you also have, they look like cross stitches, and you can also mix them together. Okay. Actually, one I really like is this one that looks like little houses. I think that's adorable. So, okay. Number 11 is on most models also. These look like utility stitches. There's your straight stitch, your zigzags, blind hem, all of that kind of thing. There's lots of stitches available. But the difference between these and the regular utility stitches is that these can be combined with any other types of decorative stitches, and they don't have the variability that you can have on the regular utility stitches. Like say if we select the pin stitch. Okay, notice I can change the width and the length, but I also have a beginning of pattern, and I have a repeat or a single pattern that you don't have when you're doing regular utility stitches. Okay, then you have different three styles of lettering: block, script, and an open. These are lettering that actually looks like letters, but they are not embroidered. They are a function of the zigzag. So therefore stitches go back and forth, side to side, but they are not, but They are actually decorative stitches. With that, you have the ability to add spacing. So you can space these further apart, and you'll see real time that it's spacing them out. Or bringing them back together. It's up to you. You also have uppercase, lowercase, numbers, punctuation marks, special characters as well. Okay. And okay, let's talk a little bit about these decorative stitches. Down here you have the option of turning your reverse on and off like you do with regular sewing. You can turn your scissor on and off as to whether you want it to cut or not. The pivoting function is really nice to do, and we will hopefully come to that in the guide classes. What this enables the pivoting feature in case you're doing your decorative stitches around a corner or around a curve. You're going to want to pivot. So every time you stop, the needle will go down and the presser foot will come up, enabling you to pivot. And then next is the laser light, which is one of my favorite things. And the laser light is usually aligned with the needle, wherever the needle is, or if you want it in the center. I'm going to set this in the 3.5 is the center, so that it's hard to see this. Your laser light is engaged, and that is very, very helpful when it comes to using your decorative stitches. Okay, so let's thread this up for some decorative stitches. Okay, now I'm ready to do some decorative stitching on this crazy quilt block. So I'm going to select sewing. I want to go to my Character and Decorative Stitches, and I'm just going to select one from, say, number, which one do I want? Let's do this one, number 6-014. Okay, and I'm going to just line it up. Here, I want to use my laser light. So, I'm going to select the laser, which is right there. I want that laser in the center. Actually, no, I do not want it. See how right here the laser is showing going right down the center of the stitch? I actually want it to go right at the edge of the stitch. Okay, so I've set my laser and I've set my starting point right there. And what I've done is I've set my laser so that it's on the left edge of this stitch, because I'm going to use this line. If you don't have the Destiny or the Dream Machine, then what you want to do is just simply basically use an open toe foot and just guide it visually so that you're keeping just to the left of this line. So I'm using metallic thread, so therefore I'm going to slow down. Not going to let it stitch really fast, and I've loosened my tension a whole lot, and I'm just going to stitch right along this inside of the stitch. And I will speed this up a little bit. Okay, I want to talk about some of these really large, wide decorative stitches that you have on most machines. And on this machine, I'm picking stitch number 6-175. And you can see it's a really large stitch, and it's much wider than 7 millimeters, which means you're going to get a side-to-side action with your feed dogs. And sometimes these are a little difficult. Now, if I have the laser light, it should do the guiding for me. Okay, what I have done is I have just drawn a line down the center of where I want this stitch to go. And I have set my laser so that it's going down the left edge of the stitch, so I can use that as a guide. And so let's just see if it actually does it. So I'm going to hit. And I'm just going to keep that laser. Okay, it does, but it doesn't. You just want to keep the stitch or your fabric from torquing side to side. You want to return it so that it does the left edge of the stitch. It's going to return back to the same spot. And it's right there on the line and it moves away. See how it goes side to side? You simply want to keep your fabric straight. If you don't have the laser light, you just want to watch the stitch so that it returns to the same spot all the time. That's why you always want to draw a reference line of some sort. If you see it starting to go a little too close, you can give it a gentle nudge so that it hits the line again. And I can help move it over just a little bit. Now if I turn that light off, now you're back to where all the other models are. So what I've done is I'm keeping, well, let me see, when it returns to the right edge of the stitch. A little more. Okay, see? Here's the right edge of the stitch, and I'm keeping that line in line with the inner edge of this foot right here. And you're just going to keep gently put it back that way. And you don't want to impede it. You don't want things around your machine that can actually move it out of the area. So, and there. See, I'm returning it to that same spot all the time. And actually, if your feed dogs are in calibration, you shouldn't have to do too much adjusting. There we go. Okay, we'll do this last one, then we'll take a look at it. Okay, and I'm going to put it back on one star and let it finish out this pattern. That's not bad. Here's my line. I got that pretty close. So I like the laser line, but actually I did just as well guiding it with making sure the left swing of the pattern is right along this inside edge of the foot. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my machine and I'm going to select another stitch. Okay, I think I'd like that one. Okay, the same thing. I'm going to leave that line just on this left edge. And now this time, I'm going to show you something really neat that this machine does. So again, I'm going to stitch to this side, again using Okay, now I'm going to stop and show you this really neat new feature on the machine. So I'm going to go back to the machine and I'm going to select this. And this is only available on the Destiny and the Dream Machine. So that little icon right there. Okay, and notice I have a different way of using these lasers. I'm going to tell it to select the end of the stitch. Okay, so what it's asking for is it's asking you to touch the end point using the scanner pen. And there are two needles here. It's showing two needles. If it shows one needle, I'm going to touch the end one time. So I'm going to touch where I want it to end. And I want it to end right there. Okay. Now I have a choice here. I can either have it just stop, and I want it to stop at the end of the pattern, and which means that it's going to adjust the stitch length as it finishes up this stitching so that it'll finish at the very end. the other thing too is you want to stop stitching. You want to indicate it that you want to start somewhere between these two lines. So in other words, it's like about 2 to 3 inches away so that it has time to adjust. So as long as your pattern is somewhere in between these two lines, you don't want to go too close and not too far away. But I want it to stitch right. I want it to finish stitching right here. And notice it just says it is shown that it's going to stop there. And I'm going to hit OK. And here now it's telling me the machine will sew to an ending point in one step if the length is less than 2 3/4 of an inch. The machine may not stop at the ending point if it's not right. So I'm going to hit OK. So now I come back to the machine and just hit that, and now it should stop when it gets to that point. What if I go straight? It's hard to do it straight when you're sitting so far away from it. And see, it's going to, okay, it didn't quite meet it. It stopped a little too soon. I'm just going to hit a little more and watch it. Probably because I was crooked. Okay. Okay, now I'll continue putting more decorative stitches on the other pieces, and I'll do that off camera. That should go right about there. Okay. Okay, this is the last one we're doing. I really like the way this is turning out. See, I have this laser light is working really wonderfully to keep it right on the edge without any fuss or muss. I have to admit, I really like the open toe foot a lot better than I like the end foot because I can really see what I'm doing. And what I really like about doing crazy quilting is the fact that you get a chance to try out all of your decorative stitches and see what they look like. I could probably do an entire crazy quilt, king size, and never repeat a decorative stitch once, because there are so many to choose from. Okay, all done. And it really turned out rather nice. Ta-da! Okay, so if you have any questions, you can give us a call at Attic Treasures in Occoquan, Virginia at 703-490-1536, or you can email me at waltzquilt@yahoo.com, or you can also check out our website at SewEasySewingVA.com and check out our newsletter. And we have got lots of classes. Until next time, bye.